everybody, Gina DeLuca here. Okay, today I'm going to be experimenting. I am going to be doing a spinning straight pour with a split cup. We're going to see what happens. This cup might be a little bigger than what I need for this canvas, so I don't know if that's going to play a factor. We will find out. But the colors that we have going on here. For my cell makers, I have Decoart Americana Decor Metallics in soft gold and the Americana Decor Matte Metallics in aged bronze. Don't know why that's in there, and we're not using that. I have Mars Brown by Arteza for one of my background colors, and for this color, this pinkish purple, it is Artist Loft Flow Acrylic in white, Liquitex Quinacridone Magenta, and this may sound crazy, but there is a drop of Phthalo green in there, and that is what mutes the pink. That's what mutes that magenta. It actually, you can make a purple with magenta and green, if you can believe that. If you don't believe it, test it. Mix some purple or mix some magenta and green, and it makes a beautiful muted purple. So that's what this background color is. It is a custom blend. So I cover my edges first, pretty much all the time, but always when I'm using a custom blended color, I will cover the edges first just to make sure, because it's a lot easier to make sure that your edges are covered before you paint. It's a lot easier to do that than it is to mix that exact color again to touch up spots that wound up getting missed, or if it gets too thin on the sides and then your canvas is showing through, you still have to pretty up the sides. This way you don't have to worry about it. These paints are mixed, 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. That mixture is then thinned with my concoction of 90% water and 10% Floetrol until I get the consistency that I'm looking for, which is, this is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound, but it disappears quickly. It is making a nice, thin, even stream off of my stick. It is not going thin, then thick. It's like a pencil lead. That's what you're looking for when you've mixed your paints. If they are properly mixed, it will look like a pencil lead coming off of your stick. It will not be wobbly, thin and thick. That is what we're looking for. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art Inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you all of the information that you need, the exact paint brand, color, consistency, of course, the technique, all of the things that I can't fit on a card. This is a picture of the painting in that video. This box here contains a tip for that particular technique. Here at the bottom, we have the color palette that was used in this painting. And these 2 boxes can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette. Sometimes less is more, or you can build off of those 2 colors and add the color of your choosing. And there are also 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors, mix and match the color palettes with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is lay down my base coat. Actually, the first thing I should have done is to put some paint in my cup. So let me just real quick, I'm going to put in my base colors first. I want to make sure that I'm using the same amount of each color. So I'm going to put the brown on one side. This is a 3-chamber cup, but I'm only using 2. So I will be using the 2 on the outside. So I'll put that one in first. And then I will match. I don't know if you'll be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to get the same amount on this other side. Okay. Oh, that's almost almost there. A little bit more of the pink than the brown, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to spread this out. I like to use a base coat because I want for my paint puddle, my poured paints to spread evenly. And if the canvas is dry, something has to stick to the canvas first, and that is going to be whatever paint hits it first. And that's usually going to be the paints that are on the edge of your puddle. Sometimes it's where the coolest stuff happens. So you want to make sure that you give yourself the highest probability of success. And for me, that means using a base coat. Okay, and now I'm going to add my cell makers. Always check your consistency before pouring it into your cup. The sauce will thicken upon standing. Okay, so I'm going to do the bronze into the pink purple combo. That sank very nicely. And then the gold into the brown. And that did thicken up a hair. So I'm going to add a couple of drops of my magic thinning elixir, 90% Floetrol. 90% water, 10% Floetrol. Okay, that looks better. Okay, now adding the gold to the brown, allowing it to sink and churn. I like to pour from up high, using my old bartender skills. It is intimidating. If you aren't used to it, what you can do is do this in your sink. Just take some water and pour it into your cup. Just to get the feel of pouring from up high. You can start it low and lift, but that is a good way to kind of get that skill without wasting paint or making, a mess. So there's a tip for you. So this is what's going to happen. We're going to make a mess. I'm going to do my best to stay in the middle. I'm going to spin clockwise, and I'm going to pour quickly and spin slowly. I see bubbles. I'm going to pop these bubbles before I get started. I don't want these popping up through my pour later on. Okay, let's make a mess, shall we? Pouring clockwise, or spinning clockwise. Pouring somewhat quickly. Spinning slowly. I find that's how I get the best spiral looking action. if I spin too quickly, it just winds up looking like a ring pour. And I really want a spiral, not a ring. So as I get closer to the end of the cup, I will get closer to the canvas. This will give me more control. I think I have gotten off center. And here comes the gold. Is any of that bronze going to come out, or is it just going to be the gold? Here comes the bronze. Here comes the bronze. So when I put my paint in the cup the way that I do, whatever the last color that I put in the cup is, that has a tendency to end up at the bottom of the cup, and a little bit of that will end up at the very bottom. And that is how I get that contrast in the center. I like to go 1.5 turns at least. Whew, okay, 10 on that dismount. Yeehaw. Okay, so now I am going to let this paint puddle percolate. I'm going to pop these bubbles. I pop the bubbles and it is going to bring up paint with it from the layers underneath. And these cell making paints are hydrophobic. They are matte compared to the other colors that I'm using, and so the matte paints have a tendency to sell because they push away the paints that aren't matte. So when I say to let your paint puddle percolate, I mean let it sit, let those air bubbles come to the top. My work surface is not level, as you can tell by how this puddle looks. What is important is the center. That's the most important thing. The center is looking really good to me. So as we let this sit, these cells will come up, they will grow and expand, and then when I go to stretch it, they will get even bigger, and that is how we wind up with the Boulder cells. Keep popping these bubbles. And while we're letting this percolate, I will take this opportunity to remind everybody that my Patreon is up and running. There is some content on there that you won't be finding on YouTube. The Zooms will be commencing next week. So we will have Zoom Q&As and happy hours and such. And also a reminder that I will be teaching at the Fluid Art Experience in April in Seattle. I see schmutz. Get the schmutz as soon as you see it because it will ruin everything. Let's see. Come here, you. There it is. Cat hair. My cats always have to make their impression on artwork. So as we let this sit, these bubbles are coming up, bringing the paint, and these cells are expanding. But yes, at the Fluid Art Experience in Seattle in April, you can go to fluidartexperience.com and get some information on that and book your classes. But I will be teaching cloud pours and metallic boulder pours and a monochromatic cloud pour. So you will be leaving there knowing how to get cells without using silicone. Never clean silicone off your canvas again. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't like cleaning the silicone off my canvas at all. Okay. So most of this is going to spin off. What is going to be really happening is this here, and I like the way this is developing. I am going to spin this now because I have enough going on here to stretch out and make boulder cells. And I would not mind having some negative space in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this thing. And remember, this does not, you don't have to spin it like you're on the Wheel of Fortune. It's going to get to the edge. It doesn't have to go fast. It will get there. When I do this, the paint barely goes past where the corner is. It's like almost even with it. It's not flinging out. It is just about as wide as the canvas. That's all you need. I feel like this here needs a little bit of love to get it moving. And you can do this, you can just scrape up some of your drippings if you have a corner that didn't get coverage. And it will look like it's part of the pour, but when you give it another spin, it will just completely blend in. So this is a great way to cover up your edges if they didn't get as much love as you wanted. Easy peasy. All right, let's give her another spin. Just to give that corner a little more stretch to kind of blend in what I just added. All right. Well, that's interesting. So I'm going to let this sit for a bit, and I will bring you in for a close-up. More cells will probably pop up, so we'll see what happens. Not much happening in the pink area, not a whole lot, but I don't necessarily hate that. It's giving me some negative space in there. It's a little different than the other ones that I've done, so I can get down with that. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna let this sit. Back in a few. Okay, here it is. This is celled up about as much as it's going to cell up. Got some awesome depth going on here. Those colors look fantastic together. It's looking a bit more purple on camera, but it's a little bit more pink in person. Let me see if I can, there, when I pull out, that's more like it. The camera gets confused when I get in close. Some really cool cells. Interesting how the center, because the bronze and the gold were coming out at the same time, how that blended together. Well, that's really interesting. That gives me some ideas. So I'm going to play with that. But there it is. I think it was a successful experiment. Came out kind of groovy. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. Make sure you click that bell if you are subscribed. I really like this area right here. Love that. If you are subscribed, make sure that you've clicked that bell so you are notified when I have new uploads, because YouTube changed something and now people are not getting all of their notifications. And do check out the description box below for links to my Patreon. Join me over there. Join us over there. We have lots of fun stuff going on. Zooms, Q&As, and exclusive content. And every now and then I'll even put on little concerts for you guys. But there's a private Facebook group. Kind of just want to start a little family over there. So come join us. And in the description box, you will also find the link to the Fluid Art Experience, where I'll be teaching in April in person. Let's meet face to face. And also you will find the link to my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and the fluid art inspiration cards for sale. And my Facebook group, Go Make Some Art, the public Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces. Ask your questions. Get some inspiration. Look at that blending right there. I love that blending. But yeah, join us over. Go Make Some Art. Good times had by most. It's the internet after all, you know. You know how that goes. But yeah, that is it. That's it. That's it for me for today. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.